fire up those grills, and get rowdy. It's time for Taylor's Tailgate, your official Renegade kickoff show, driven by Jim Burke Ford.
Well, welcome into Taylor's Tailgate, your official Renegade pregame report showcasing the best of BC athletics. I'm 17's Taylor Schaub, and over the next 30 minutes, we'll get you ready for kickoff. But first, let's take a little walk down memory lane. Now, one could call the fall of 2021 a mixed bag for BC. After riding a roller coaster of emotion in year one, a reinvigorated head coach Todd Littlejohn and his Renegades returned to Memorial Stadium tonight, ready to put a season riddled by turnovers and self-reported clerical errors behind them. The record books may say Coach Littlejohn went 2-8 in his first full year at the helm of BC, but for those keeping a close eye on the Renegades, we know that BC forfeited 3 of those contests due to the aforementioned self-reported eligibility issue. And in every other loss, BC hung around until the bitter end with costly turnovers, the difference between a trip to the postseason and spending the late fall watching from home. Now, after a full year in the conference and a normal offseason to prepare, Littlejohn knows the pressure's on, and he embraces it.
We were in every game, and it was the mistakes at different times of the game that really cost us, but really excited about their effort, really excited about how hard they played, and that's one of our brands. You know, we want to be the toughest, hardest working, most competitive team in the country, and I think we exemplify that.
We built different, you know. We just grinding, you know, get our names out there.
You know, we obviously have a history of being a very competitive football team, and it's what we set the standard to. And I think everybody that we play knows that, and bringing it back home where it belongs.
Now, the Renegades roster currently lists 41 returnees from last year's campaign, but it's some of the new names and faces that excite Coach most. Now, the biggest battle in camp, it's centered around the quarterback position. As many as 8 names were floated to get the start week 1, including last year's starter Dexter Frampton and Bakersfield natives Carson Woods and Joe Campbell. Word is that Garces grad and Fresno State transfer Joseph Campbell will start under center tonight for the Renegades. Here's a look at his stat line from 2020. That was his senior year, playing under Paul Gola at Garces. Now, Campbell will lead BC against LA Pierce tonight, a team that has struggled to put a solid product on the field for years now. Pierce went 0-9 last season, including a forfeit to the Renegades. Even worse, they only averaged, get this, 3.7 points per game, while allowing nearly 60 on the other side of the ball. The lone bright spot? Well, they have a new coaching staff, so hopefully something's changed in camp. Now, of course, it's a hot one at Memorial Stadium. This game pushed back 1 hour, Elena, to a 7 o'clock kickoff. And let's take a look at the forecast.
It makes a difference. If they would have kept it that hour earlier, still would have been in the hundreds. Now we're dropping to those 90s. So with that, the sun's setting in the 7 o'clock hour now, but it's more so closer to 8. So it's not actually dark with those big football lights on until 8:30 and the heat sticking around. We did get a little bit of a dip in temperatures today with a weak system passing to our north. That cleared out a lot of our wildfire smoke. Very important for our air quality. So today's air quality forecast was to be unhealthy for everyone. Now as we head into tomorrow, and right now as we head into game time as well, it has improved greatly. A lot of the smoke pushing out the smog as well. So that air quality is still not the best, but better. That's always important. And again, those temperatures falling. So 98 at 7 p.m. for kickoff time. And then of course those 90s still through 11 p.m. So hot for the fans in the stands, dropping to the 80s overnight. And if you want to look ahead to that extended forecast, we lucked out for today, getting only just above that 100-degree mark because we're surging way past it. 107 in your forecast tomorrow. Taylor, by the time we get to Tuesday, we're looking at 110.
Well, Elena, thank you. And despite the heat, fans are eagerly awaiting this matchup and have spent the better part of the afternoon tailgating outside famed Memorial Stadium. And, well, that's where we find Chris Burton. Chris, what's the party like out there?
not going to lie to you, it is hot out here, but there are some folks brave in the heat, and right now I'm joined by a couple of them, Jim Laurent and John Candelaria. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. You guys wasted no time in getting out here, got out here bright and early.
Yeah, we did. I got out here about 10 a.m. and got everything set up and the air conditioning running in the trailer, which was most important.
That is crucial today. It is a sweltering one. But how's the atmosphere been here before BC's first game of the year?
Chris, you know, it's always great having a season opener. Everyone, you know, all the anticipation's high. All the amp is still in the air. I know it's a little bit of a light turnout this year, probably the heat, the 3-day weekend, all that's going on. But you know, all in all, it's still a great vibe. You
guys getting some grilling done, getting some beverages. What's the vibe today?
Yeah, we started off easy this week. We went with the hamburgers and hot dogs, and of course the next home game will go much bigger and greater. But just to have everybody out here with our tailgate party is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about that. You know, I know this tailgate party is such a staple for you guys, you know, not just today, not just the first game of the season, but from games and games and games from decades ago.
Absolutely. We've been coming out for probably, I'll say approximately about 20 years, and we have some dear friends that are part of the coaching staff in the Alvarez family who have been a staple in BC football, and we come out here to support them and support the kids that are out here, and we just love the game of football and the family and the camaraderie.
John, what does it mean to you to get everybody out here, you know, for the first time this season?
It feels great. Like I said, my brand new father-in-law, Lorenzo Alvarez, has been a longtime coach here for 30+ years, and now his son, my new brother-in-law, he's a kicking coach out here for BC, and all the family and friends, everybody gets together. My brand new cousin just married into, he's now playing on the field this year, so it's a great thing to happen. You know, first game of the season, everything's great. It's
a full community, right? Everybody just comes on and comes out. All right, Jim, John, thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll be out here in the parking lot talking to AD Reggie Bolton in just a few minutes. But for now, Taylor, back to you.
Well, thanks, Chris. Renegade fans that packed the stands at Memorial Stadium this season will hear a new voice guiding them through the action. Longtime announcer Carl Bryant was the voice of the Renegades for decades, serving as the PA announcer for football, basketball, and even track and field. But after announcing his retirement last year, the school kicked off a search for a new voice that would represent a new era of Renegade athletics. And they found one. Meet Tom Myers.
It's kind of crazy, actually. You know, we discussed the potential of maybe me doing this in the future at some point, and then I got the call last spring, and they said they wanted me to send in a audition tape, and then they were kind enough to, you know, give me the nod, and now I got to be the voice of the Renegades, which is kind of surreal.
So cool. Tom's a great guy. Still to come on Taylor's Tailgate. It's year 2 of the R-Todd Little John era, and the pressure is ratcheted up.
I know that you have to make a jump from year 1 to year 2. I just won't be pleased in general if we don't.
We'll go one-on-one with the Renegade leader as he prepares for his sophomore season at the helm of BC. Plus, it's time for another installment of Taylor's Trivia. Tonight, we're asking, when was the last time BC won a national championship? Was it A, 1992, B, 2001, C, 2012, or D, 1988. The answer when we return.
Who's ready for some Renegade football? More Taylor's Tailgate just ahead. Brought to you by Jim Burke Ford. Breaking down the best of BC. This is Taylor's Tailgate. Brought to you by Jim Burke Ford.
All right, back now with a little Taylor's Trivia. Earlier we asked, when was the last time BC won a national championship? Was it A, 1992, B, 2001, C, 2012, or D, 1998? And if you guessed D, as in 1998, congrats! You're correct. You know your BC football. Now, head coach R-Todd Littlejohn is hoping to change that stat. The former driller and Renegade has spent a lifetime between the lines, and after his first full season at the helm, he's ready to take this program to the next level. Here's Coach in our Saturday sit-down. Coach, coming off that 2-8 campaign, how can you guys improve?
One thing is personnel, you know, and it's one of the things that we addressed in recruiting. We felt like we had to improve in all the areas, and anytime you go into a season, you have to be mindful of injuries and
ineligibilities and all of those things. So that was one of the areas we really had to focus on. And then two, just identifying what we did well, what we didn't do well. We really wanted to make sure that we addressed those needs and then look at our just overall, what are some of the things we can do better.
Lifetime inside the lines, you were an assistant coach at Cal, UCLA, but this was your first full season as a head coach. What lessons did you learn from the head position?
Sometimes what not to do. You know, it really forces you to delegate, to look at so many different areas in which you can improve as an individual. What works, what doesn't work. I think you have to be flexible. You have to be open-minded because just because you did something at one program or other programs doesn't mean that you can do it, you know, here where you are.
Okay, you guys executed very well on defense and very well on special teams last year. Offense was a bit of a different story. A lot of turnovers, especially in the red zone. How have you guys addressed that in camp?
Personnel. You know, we've had great competition in camp at the quarterback position, revamping the offensive line as well, and then adding to our run game, you know. Having to manufacture running backs last year, mid part of the year due to injuries and things like that, that was another area of need. I feel like now we've done that. We have some really good players at both the quarterback and the running back position, and that, you know, having a run game always helps the O-line too, you know, and last year not having that, I think it really hurt us and it forced us more into a passing type situation. And in order to throw the ball, you've got to be able to run the ball. So those are some of the things that we did.
The quarterback battle in camp, I know it was as many as 8 players at one point. Who's going to start week 1?
It's looking like Joe Campbell. You know, although it was an extremely close race between Joe Campbell, Carson Woods, and Tice Griswold. Each of them had really good days. Each of them had some not so good days, but the thing that was exciting, they were all very consistent. It even forced a Dexter Frampton to step up, a Levi Manning to step up, and Vincent Igoa to step up.
Levi Manning, Carson Woods, obviously Joe Campbell was at Garces. Those are 3 Bakersfield natives. That's really important to this community to have players that they can identify with that came up through the system here, played their high school ball here. How exciting is that for you guys to have a quarterback that's from Bakersfield? Obviously, you guys want the best player possible, but it's kind of got to add a little bit of luster, right?
It does. I mean, I'd like to think that, you know, and I think with those 3 individuals, as an example, they have a little bit more invested in the program. I'm sure their families do as well, like Levi. You know, their family, the Manning family, has been entrenched in Bakersfield College and the tradition. So anytime that you can add players like that, that do know what it takes and just value the tradition is always helpful. You know, now my challenge, I guess, and the challenge to others is to, you know, I get the question all the time as to, do you have local players? Well, yeah, we have local players, but to me that should mean that people should come out and support.
Okay, before I get to L.A. Pierce, we do have to address what happened last year with the forfeits. How do you make sure that that doesn't happen again, that those eligibility issues that you guys self-reported doesn't happen again?
Check the checker. You know, that's something that I learned. And, you know, it's like I'm paranoid as well because, you know, I'm literally checking and double and triple and quadruple checking. But it's just, you know, again, I don't have full control of it per se, but I'm constantly on the phone, constantly asking questions, constantly checking. And I think for me, if I have a gut feeling about something, listen to it.
Okay, let's move on to L.A. Pierce. That's the week 1 opponent. You guys didn't get to play them because they forfeited that game last year. So you haven't seen L.A. Pierce in your time here. Obviously, you've seen some tape. They didn't have a win last year. How are you guys approaching this year's team?
Very similar to last year. You know, they have a new coaching staff as well, so you really don't know what they're going to do. I know that the tendency is to look at the head coach and the coordinator's past, where they've been, if it was high school, if it was at other programs. You research, you find tape, you know, as to what you can at least get an idea as to what their background is. Of course, it'll be different because the personnel is different, but it at least enables you to align and have a sense of what to do and, you know, and how to prepare. At the end of the day, it's still about us executing and, you know, being able to take advantage of third and short, third and medium, third and long situations to keep drives alive on offense and score in the red zone. Defensively, you play 3 and out, and you force turnovers. In special teams, you got to be solid. So I think with you know, focusing on us, it really helps to alleviate being overly worried or concerned about Pierce in this situation.
What kind of pressure do you put on your shoulders to win this year?
A ton. I know that you have to make a jump from year 1 to year 2. I just won't be pleased in general if we don't. And so, having been at the 4-year level, having been at the Power 5 level, you become accustomed to that pressure, and that's what I put on myself. And you know, I don't know if I'll rest easy until we make the playoffs.
Okay, Coach, thank you so much. Good luck this year. Good luck against LA Pierce. All right, so with a full year under his belt, Coach Littlejohn should be better prepared for the Renegades' 2022 opponents, especially since they're the same exact 10 teams BC played last fall. Here's a look at some of the key matchups to come. That's the first 5 games. Now, let's take a look at the second half as BC tries to make their first postseason in the R. Todd Littlejohn era. Now for a look inside the weeks to come and the picture all around BC Athletics, we turn again to 17's Chris Burton, who's standing by with Athletic Director Reggie Bolton. Chris, take it away.
Well, Taylor, thanks so much. Yes, AD Reggie Bolton is joining me now. And Reggie, thank you so much for being out here and just joining us today.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having us. We appreciate all the coverage we're getting from you guys, and we're just excited to be here again, start off a new year.
So Reggie, you came in 2020, right at the start of COVID, and not only has that been a disruption, but also bringing R. Todd Littlejohn in as a new coach and just the turnover in this program. What have these past few years been like for you?
It's been, you know, a challenge and an adjustment. You know, Coach Littlejohn came in right when COVID hit and didn't have an opportunity to kind of put a team on the field, and then we put a team on the field last year. So we're excited. We're in year 3. I'm in year 3, and we learned a lot from the last couple of years, and we're excited to just, you know, start a new year off and get things going in the right direction.
You know, Taylor and Coach were just talking about the homegrown players and the roots that this team has in the community. What does Bakersfield College's athletics, kind of as a larger picture, mean to this community and take from this community?
Well, the one thing I always appreciate, Bakersfield College is like no other community college in the state of California because of the community. I mean, the majority of our athletes come from Kern County. The community support is unbelievable. They support us financially, they support us spiritually, and then they support us emotionally. You know, they're here and they're engaged at every level, and we just appreciate them, and we try to come out and do the same thing. We honor the first responders of our community, and each week we're going to honor a different group because we want to show our appreciation of what the community has given to Bakersfield College Athletics, because we appreciate them.
Reggie, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we're going to send it back to you, Taylor. Thanks so much.
Well, Chris, thank you. That's going to do it for this installment of Taylor's Tailgate. Bakersfield College against LA Pierce is coming your way next.
Tradition, toughness, and no shortage of talent. The grit of the Golden Empire, exemplified in one team.
The hardest working, most competitive team in the country.
Tonight, Renegade football returns to famed Memorial Stadium. BC, battling a foe from the Southland. LA Pierce. Can the Gades start 2022 off on the right foot, or will the problems return from a tumultuous 2021? KGET presents this Week 1 clash between the Renegades and the Brahmas, driven by Jim Burke Ford.